Hey guys, what's going on? Just gonna do a little bit of cleanup here. I didn't really do anything over here, I just kind of started the stream. Let me clean up just a little bit here. This is a sharp one, so I actually need to be careful. Vacuum up here a little. Just enough to get by. Alright. Once these builds, as it may be the only strife type I may like. See what build. What are you referencing? Okay, so comes with a little bag of parts. I'll go ahead and get them. It comes with a little bag of screws, and it has this piece in it, which is for the vector kit, and I'll go into that in a second. Why they include that. It has a lock already installed, which is kind of silly. It is the only lock that is remotely useful. I know FDS keeps his in there because he has a lot of kids playing with his blasters. And, you know, there's no harm in, because you have to pull this before you pull the trigger. I personally don't like them, but at least it's the only useful lock to some people. So maybe if you have kids around, you can do that. I legitimately wasn't going to end war because I couldn't afford it. This was the ticket. This was paying for end war, and I did some number crunching and I couldn't go. I told everybody that I knew, hey, I can't go. You're gonna have to cancel plans, make different ones. I just don't have the ability to go. I even contacted Drac and told him I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it to end war. And he had the wisdom and the gracious kindness enough to say, I will hold onto your table for another day or two so that you can make sure 100%, even though I was already 100%. And a few hours later, someone donated some money that's basically going to cover the cost of end war. And that pretty much, you know, means that I'm kind of obligated to go. So there was a little bit of trouble getting my ride back, but at the end of the day, everything's back to where it was. So yes, I am going to end war. Nope, feel terrible, Trico. Yo, feel better. I completely missed that. Didn't get a chance to read what you said before you deleted it. So I've been kind of confused. Is Black Steel Props closing? Yes, it is. Okay. So right out of the package, obviously it doesn't come with the DRS cage. Right out of the package, it comes. Can you not close this with this on? Oh no, it's just tight. So right out of the package, it comes just like this, minus the DRS cage, with 5 screws already installed. The front muzzle is somewhere. I have no idea where it is. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I've already kind of picked at this a little bit. You can tune a piano, now you can tune a fish. Yeah, ha! So it comes with this installed already, obviously. Interesting. And then it has 5 screws already installed. It has all the standard strife screw placements. There's one right here, one right here, one right here, one right here, and one right here. So 5 screws in total that are already installed. Obviously, you have a bunch of different places for screws, but those are the ones that come installed. Once you get those off, you can pop this open. And then you pretty much have that. These are built for the 10 amp cherry style switches. So not the 21 amp Omron switches, although we've never had a problem with modding them before. The only thing that sucks is now I'm going to have to cast something specifically for this, because you can't just slap putty in there, because you can see through it. That's one thing that's going to be very hard if you're if you're buying this for the aesthetics. I'm assuming you're going to want to keep these aesthetics, which means if you do any sort of work on the inside, it has to be clean because it's clear. So that is something to think about. That means no more clear parts. Biggs sells them, so you're not out of the water. Ordered something yesterday, a patch is still getting shipped. If you ordered something from Black Steel Props, it is getting shipped. Don't worry about that. So it comes completely dry. There's no lubricant in this at all, and you can definitely feel it. I do need to lubricate it, but I wanted to make a video before I started messing with it or anything. The geometry on the back end of here is a little bit different, but the other switch, at least for me, fits fine. My parts fit. I'm not quite sure what Biggs was talking about. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of shell closure issue, but it's not nearly enough to affect anything. I'm talking like 20 thousandths of an inch between the difference here. So it's definitely not that big of a deal, especially for Nerf stuff. You can shave it down if you want, which I probably would if I was going to keep it permanent. But by the time you cinch down the screws and everything, I don't see an issue with fitting clear parts in this at all, and I'm assuming Biggs as well. I don't see a reason why that would hold you back. And even if it does bother you, you can just shave it down a little bit. Artifact figured. I don't have one to show, unfortunately. My trigger fits, so I can only imagine that that would fit as well. Oh my god, there's so many comments. There's a 6-week wait time, Nano, excuse me. Okay, so let's try to stay on subject here. So, what cages fit and what don't? OFP cages do not fit. This is one that's been 3D printed off of Shapeways, so it's to a higher tolerance than standard printers, and by that I mean it's tighter. So if anything, this would have more room than a standard 3D print, and it does not fit. I tried for a little bit. You can get like 1 or 2 screw ports on there, but then you have to like flex this entire housing in order to even attempt to fit a third, and there's no way you're fitting a fourth. So the OFP cages do not fit, and I'm pretty sure that's because of these ribs holding these posts on. I think they're just a little bit too thick, but if I had a 3D printed one handy, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't even go on those screw ports. The riot cage, I don't even know if it does. I'm assuming it doesn't, but I can't fit it because it doesn't fit 180s. I could have sworn someone said that it fits 180s. It absolutely does not even come close to fitting 180s. Like not even a little bit. It's got a good 200 thousandths to go, so it's quite a bit off. So there's no way you're fitting 180s in here without shell modification. So already it's kind of useless to 90% of the population, I think. Yeah, that's one thing I considered for a split second, was trying to cast these things, but I'm not 100% sure how long they would last. And to be perfectly honest, if I was going to commit that hard to it, I would probably just carve it out of polycarbonate myself, and that's not really an easy thing to do mass production wise. On Monkey Mods, he fit 180. I don't know what cage he was using, but he cheated because they don't fit 180s. It's not even close. I don't know if this makes the motors stick out more or whatever, but even on this guy right here, which has lower profile because they're XP 180s, they're actually significantly lower profile than normal. XP 180s, or excuse me, the normal 180s. Granted, they are on a slight cant, but with how low profile these are, it shouldn't be an issue. But we still have 200 thousandths of clearance issues before it even starts to get seated. So I'm not quite sure what cage he was using or what setup he was using or what motors he was using. He might have accidentally been using half motors. What are those, 132s or whatever they're called? But this definitely does not fit 180s. I'm sure Phil will adjust it to fit this, because he has one for every other thing. I'm not trying to put pressure, and I don't want to speak for him, but he has one for virtually every other cage out there. I can't imagine him not doing this in the future. Spending money on this, even if it's clear, since it's going to need modifications. That's kind of the thing, and with this kind of thing, that's one of the reasons why Biggs's I don't want to talk ill about him, but Biggs's motor covers that he just came out with, the clear ones, they look great, but good luck securing that onto a blaster. That's one of the reasons why I stopped productions of my old Rapid Strike covers. Not only were they boxy, but oh, and this just sits on there. You screw it in once you start getting the switch on there. Anyway, but since the part itself is clear, you can't actually properly fix it on there. You can super glue it on, but if you're going to actually properly do a modification and fix it on there correctly, you're going to see your glue through the clear part. If it's a colored clear part, it's going to be less noticeable, but it would still be noticeable for me, and I'm not okay with that, which is one of the reasons why I have a opaque frame and then the polycarbonate over the top. Number one, the polycarbonate is more scratch resistant. There's no amount of... By the time you get to a resin that's hard enough to resist scratching, you're going to snap it like that. So there's kind of no other alternative if you want a good quality something than to just slap some polycarbonate on there, unfortunately. And then you can, since you can color the frame, a lot of people ask why I bother coloring the frame at all if it's just going to get painted. But the whole thing is you can see the outer rim if you do it correctly, if you glue it straight to that. So, clear epoxy, you might as well super glue it at that point. If it's not the methyl acrylate, you might as well just super glue it. But yeah, it kind of makes modification of this hard because everything is clear and you can see through everything. There is some defect in the molding on the inside of here. There's a few air pockets right here on the surface of the mold, so they didn't inject enough plastic on here. Either that or it just warped on the way out. There's a few up here, just a little tiny artifacts. Just if you shimmer it in the light. It's not going to be noticeable from the outside, I don't think. It is. Never mind. There's a little artifact here. I'm not sure if you can see it. I seriously doubt you're going to be able to pick that up. Looks like a blob. Ah, there it is. See it right there? I'm not sure if you can see that on stream, but it's just a little bit of a defect here. Kind of shows you the difference between something that Hasbro does, where they probably do this in factories that are very, very highly regulated, and then people who just do this in China, which it's a good quality, don't get me wrong, but it's little tiny things like that that would be completely unacceptable to bigger companies. Not a big deal, especially because it's on the inside. These are much higher quality than I've seen on the Sita. The Sita is pretty pathetic in terms of molding quality, but yeah, it's pretty good. This side's pretty flawless here, as far as I can tell. A little bit of an artifact there. That's all right. That almost looks like a that almost looks on purpose, but it's like a little tiny ring. I'm not sure why it would protrude like that. Anyway, it comes with a little sliding switch on here, and that's another thing I'm going to get to in a minute. No networker is perfectionist like Hawkeye. It's also super expensive. You know, if it screws up, then it's like, oh, we can make this other mold, but you're gonna have to make a whole new one. It's like, ah, forget it. So, any tips for integration? There's a bunch of tips I could give for integration, but that's going to go way too in depth right now. TLDR is going to be fit all your parts together, put them together, tack some places with hot glue on the outside. Make sure you line it up correctly in both the X and Y direction, and make sure everything is lined up perfectly by tacking the hot glue. If it's not, undo the hot glue with isopropyl alcohol. If you wet it enough with that, it will come right off without any effort. And then you keep tacking it until you get it absolutely straight. Methyl methacrylate the outside just a little bit. Remove the hot glue. Do the rest of the outside. Take the shell halves apart. Methyl methacrylate the inside, and then you got shell halves that are perfectly aligned. Just make sure that you start the integration with everything together. That's one thing. One of the most common things is they do it separately, and then when you put them together, it's kind of like misaligned a little bit or something, or it's kind of broken apart a little bit. TLDR. The seed is that bad. I don't know if that's a question, but yes, the seed is that bad. They're also definitely 100% not using polycarbonate, because if they were using polycarbonate, it would not be shaving plastic like it is. There's some serious issues with plastic shaving, even early on, even within a couple days. So that's not good. Need to get on track with this. All the magazines fit. I fit a Katana mag in here just fine. So as far as I know, the Katana magazine adapter is the largest one of anything. So if you can fit that, and it has the most restrictions. So if you can fit that, I'm pretty sure you can fit most things. So it fits magazines just fine. The outer plastic is a pretty high quality, but it's also deceptive because it's pretty thick, which means it's like, oh yeah, this is a high quality. This is better than Nerf stuff. It's not better than Nerf plastic. I'd say it's a little bit softer than Nerf plastic. The durometer is a little bit softer. But the fact that they make their shells much, much thicker, especially in the outside of this frame right here, it gives the illusion that this thing is indestructible. Which it does strengthen it quite a bit, but the actual quality of the plastic isn't as good as people say. I'm not saying it's bad, because it is good quality, but it is a way to kind of cheat the system. A little more expensive, so I'm not quite sure why they would do that. But the plastic on the inside of here feels even softer, and I'm pretty sure that's just to prevent wearing on the parts a little bit. Kind of silly that they didn't add lubricant at all. But all of these orange parts are made out of the same plastic. Like I said, definitely needs a lubricant. One of the biggest deal breakers for me here is the fact that I don't have a screwdriver. Is the fact that this is meant for stock alkalines. Complete deal breaker. It doesn't come with internals, so you can't tell me that this is targeted towards the same group of people that Nerf are going to. Why is there a hole right there? There's a hole right here, and I'm not 100% sure why that's there. Maybe a voltmeter button? It almost looks like a switch is supposed to go in there. Anyway. Excuse me. I can't remember what I was... Oh, so you can't tell me... There's no internals into it, which means you have to modify this thing, which means it's not targeted towards the same group of people that Nerf is targeting. This is meant for modders. You can't sell a shell, like maybe the Prophecy, you can do it as a DIY kit or whatever, but this is requiring soldering. This is requiring placement of a switch. This is electrical work. This is real modding. This is, like, at the very least, you're going to have to rebuild a Strife, and that would be considered an entry-level mod. So you can't tell me that stock alkalines are going to be in this build. It's completely ridiculous, and the fact that they put that in there just tells me that they didn't do any sort of testing on this. Oh, there's a few bumps on the inside of here. That's weird. But they didn't do any sort of test. They straight up just copied the Strife. Um, they want you to use IMRs. Yeah, that's probably worse. So the biggest issue that I have with this shell, there's a few of them. There's quite a few of them. Not only the things that I said just now. One of them is, why the hell did they theme it after a swordfish? Of all things, this did not need a theme. The texture on the handle cuts off right about here and goes all the way back here. It's a fish scale kind of deal. You guys know the gist of it. Can't even focus on it, but you guys know what it looks like. Big old swordfish on either side. Why? Why did you have to slap a swordfish on the side? It would have been fine without it. Just put a stripe on there. It doesn't matter. Not a swordfish. Don't put a swordfish on there. That limits so many things. It limits so many things. To some people, they don't care. They're just going to paint over it. It has a swordfish on there, but they're going to highlight other parts, so you can't really see it unless you really look. But for people like me, I can't do anything with this before I sand that off. And that really, really sucks. That's not even the biggest gripe I have. The handle is actually really comfortable. I do actually really enjoy the handle. The texture feels nice. If it wasn't themed after a fish, it would be kind of weird, but it would be okay. I would prefer a different texture just because of aesthetic reasons. Excuse me. I think a stippled grip would have been freaking awesome, but they chose to not do that, so I can't say anything about that. How exactly do you spell acrylate? If you type in epoxy, METH, it should pop up. Whale shark would have been better. Actually, don't mind the fish, to be honest. But see, that's the only opinion you can have. It's like, oh, I don't mind the fish, or I like the fish, or you hate the fish. Or you could just slap a stripe on there and have everybody either meh about the stripe, or I like the stripe. No one's going to have a stripe on here and say, I hate this stripe. This stripe is useless. Because who is it going to offend? It's stupid. It's just a stripe. This is a freaking swordfish. Anyway. Worker whale shark. So this rattles a little bit. Obviously, there's no room for any other type of mag release except a extended one. One of the many reasons why I personally don't like extended mag releases. That's not going to be an issue for 99.9% of the people. That's me being a picky asshole. I personally, you guys know me. I don't like extended mag releases, so that's just a me thing. It works fine. It's completely functional. It's fine. See, like little things like this. Like, why'd they put that pocket on the inside? That has to be for something else. So, it's very clear, no pun intended, that the pictures that Worker released were very specifically designed to only show this side of the blaster. And as soon as that happened, as soon as we saw this picture and this picture and this picture and this picture and this picture, but not the other side, that immediately tells you something is wrong with the other side. And sure enough, it looks like absolute and utter garbage. Now you look at this and you're like, that's not too terrible. You like, the battery tray looks a little weird, but that's not too. This isn't the angle I'm talking about. That's the angle I'm talking about. Look how abrupt that is right there. Straight 90-degree angle. They could have very easily, there's no reason not to put a chamfer on the edge right here. I can totally see it right here because you kind of need that for the battery. That's fine. But a chamfer right here, just like is on the Strife, would have made it look so much more slim. You can fit more electronics on the inside of here, which is kind of cool. So if maybe you have a build that's super tight on electronics, you could fit a decent sized board on the inside of here. There's a line right here for the top of the magazine, but you can very easily chop that out. So maybe if you have like a brushless setup, this might be an option. Might be a better option, as a matter of fact, just with how much room it has. But in terms of aesthetics, that's just laziness. That's not paying attention in the slightest. Also, from this way, It looks weird. And you would think, like, a lot of people don't like the strife. They're gonna hate this, like, for the asymmetry. Asymmetry. I personally don't mind it. This is too much. There's a difference. I never realized how big of a difference the indentation right here on the strife had, because the strife kind of has the bump here and the bump here, but it goes back down here. And it's still not as flat as this side, but it goes down here. And that gives it the illusion that, the illusion, mind you, it's not at all. But it gives the illusion that it's flat on both sides, but this side has a bump here and a bump here. And there's a very big difference between a bump here and a bump here, and the entire side is just one big protruding mess that's bigger than the other side. Personally, this would have looked much better if they put the slant right here and extended this out the same amount. I don't see anything wrong with that. And then what they could have done is put another battery tray on the side of here, and people would be like, what's the battery tray here for? What are we supposed to do with that? No one's going to ask that question. What's that for? LEDs. Of course that's for LEDs. No one would take a second thought. Everyone would be like, what is this? Someone would say LEDs and be like, oh, well, yeah, obviously. Who cares? You could put an Arduino in here. You could do anything with a second battery door. That'd be freaking awesome. Not only that, but you'd have way more room to just do stuff with. Yeah, it would be a little bit more boxy, but I would rather it be a little more boxy than this. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little bit too picky with this, but like little things like this abruptly. If you get rid of completely in your mind, get rid of the magazine release. Look how abrupt that is right there. On the strife one, it's not that abrupt. There's stuff here. It's very boxy on the inside of here. I'm glad I don't have to mess with sanding anything right here anymore, but ugly as hell and not worth the money. Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I'm glad I got one. It's cool, but it has a lot of issues. And for $30, an empty shell, I can't recommend it. Granted, you don't use anything on the strife except for like the shell, but the fact that it's just supposed to be designed for modders and it's not really bothers me. And the worst part about all of this is I haven't even gotten to the bad part yet. I know I've been ripping on this quite a bit, and you guys know me, I rip on things quite a bit. I try not to take an elitism kind of aspect towards it's like, this isn't made for modders and we hate it because it's not made for us. This is made for us. This is supposed to be made for us. This is not a Nerf product. I give way lenience to Nerf because it's not made for modders. Like the new Rival stuff they're coming out with lately, that's freaking awesome. And not just because they're decent for modding, because like they're actually great for kids. It's perfect. They were coming out with great stuff. Even the Mega stuff, it's not suited to me, but like the big Mega one that has like the shooting out barrel or whatever, the sniper, that's pretty cool. And they definitely needed the harmonica clip style system for something like that, because they said they would never do the magazine again because of the jams and stuff. But it's even that's good for their market demographic. This sucks. This is meant for us. This is meant for us, and it sucks. The worst part about this, dyed blue. If it comes in blue, I'm buying it. The worst part about this is the fact that this is not a complete kit. And I don't mean the fact that it doesn't come with a cage, it doesn't come with internals, because that's going to be customizable. No one's going to want to buy a worker cage with this thing. No one is putting a worker cage in theirs. They might. Okay, there's plenty of people that are going to put worker cages in here, but anybody who's actually knows what a worker cage is knows that they're not great, and that they could get something much better. So not a whole lot of people are going to be putting worker stuff in there. That's fine that it didn't come with internals. What do you think this is for? It's for the Chris Vector kit. When you put a Chris Vector kit on this, all of a sudden, it goes from a crappy, ill-conceived blaster that looks completely terrible, and it actually turns into a decent-looking blaster. I wonder why that is. This is very clearly marketed to sell their stuff, which is fine, but it looks like garbage without it. If you put a Vector kit on here, this is already built for the Vector kit. This is already built for the Vector kit. Everything's already built for the Vector kit. If you slap it on there, it actually looks really good, which is saying something because I don't like the Chris Vector kit on the normal Strife. This is already built for it. This already has the contours. It matches everything perfectly. But if you were going to make this to be a crappy blaster without it, you probably should have sold it with it. But that would have put this over, you know, $60, $70, and no one's going to buy that. The stock... I love the stock. Stock, ironically, isn't the same color. No one's going to notice this one. But it doesn't come with any. Yeah, the kit that comes with everything, like the internals, the Chris Vector kit, the stock and everything, that's over $200. So yeah, screw that. Stock isn't the same color. I'm not sure if you guys can pick that up. I didn't notice it when I only had this. I do notice it now. These two parts right here and this part is not the same color. These are cold and this is warm. That's not my screen. That is an actually different color. When you put it on here, it becomes even more apparent that these are kind of the same color. And I think if they were right next to each other, I think they would be pretty much the same color. Is that plastic back here? That's plastic on the inside of there that I hadn't noticed before. I need to get that out. I'll actually need to remove this and take that out. But anyway, that's not a big deal. But yeah, they're actually different color plastics between here and here. I'm pretty sure these and this is the same color. Or at least it's trying to be the same color. This looks a little more neutral or warm. It's hard to tell, man. But something between these three colors is not right. If anything, I think it looks more warm. It looks more neutral. This is more of a neutral. This is warm and this is cold. If anything, I think this might be leaning a little towards the warm side. I guess that's not a big deal for a lot of people. It's kind of a big deal for me. It kind of bothers me a little bit, but whatever. Oops. Also have the clear button on there because the one they have on here is rose gold. Yeah, that sucks. The one on the blue stock is silver. I'm not quite sure why they put rose gold on the clear one. I don't like it, but whatever. Hey Neil, what's going on? We're ripping on this thing. I'm trying not to be like an elitist asshole. Even that looks better. Like, am I just crazy? But like, even just that, for some reason, looks better to me than. Like, this looks like garbage. Like, when you put the Vector kit on here, it looks freaking awesome. Like, just me holding my hand right here, it looks freaking awesome. But then you take away all that, and it kind of looks weird. Like, this front here looks really weird. I'm not sure if that's just me. That might just be me. Anyway, I'm kind of pissy about the fact that it's like, oh, here's a shell. Buy our other stuff to make it look good. You know, people think, oh, I'm the LED guy. He's gonna love the clear shell. No, I like clear parts. Clear shell is hell because you're not gonna diffuse all your LEDs in here. No matter how many you put in here, you're not going to diffuse them properly unless you give this a paint job and only let light in through select places. So yeah, I don't think LEDs are gonna look good in this at all. You know, you slap LEDs in here, you slap an EL wire in here, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my god, it's so good, it's so awesome, it's amazing, it's perfect, I love it." I personally, I don't like those. I think they look a little bit, I don't know, unfinished? I don't know what the right word is, but it doesn't look good in my opinion. I like the glowing parts. I like the glowing individual things that have a nice even glow to them. Even my stock and Ethereal Fortress, it doesn't glow as evenly as I would like. But this is just going to be a nightmare to try to put LEDs in here. But if that's what you want, I'm not going to judge you too harshly, because, you know, LEDs would be an option in something like this. It's clear who's not going to put LEDs in it, right? Dropped an 8, and what cage have you tested? The only one that fits is DRS, ironically. But you can't fit XP, or you can't fit 180s at all. I'm not quite sure what who are they? Monkey Mods was smoking, but this 100% does not fit 180s at all. I'm not sure if they thought they were using 180s and they were using 132s or something, but there's like 200 thousandths clearance between closing the shell for 180s of any type, even on the straight. So that's quite significant. And even if you did have that 200 thousandths, there's zero clearance. It's going to be touching the shell here, and you don't want that. So it needs at least another 1/4 inch. Wow, it needs a 1/4 inch before it's able to do anything with this. And I realize that these are canted, so it adds a little bit of height, but the XP 180s are actually significantly lower than normal 180s. So it kind of balances itself out. If anything, this is still a lower profile. I got in the stock and making it fit now. Sweet. Glad it got there. Gonna throw my Eclipse cage in it. Yeah, I can't fit my Eclipse cage in here because the motors are too tall. But I'm almost positive it's not gonna fit. You know what? I might have just found where it's not fitting. This part right here, it's not going to focus. This part right here, this protruding little thing right here, I feel like if you ground that down, I feel like it would fit, because it's kind of rubbing up against the support right here. The holes line up, so I feel like with enough work you could get anything to fit in here. But you're definitely, if you plan on using 180s, you're definitely going to need to pop out the back, which really sucks. I feel like I could fit that. Might have to shave down some supports and stuff, but it's definitely doable, I think. Did you test your cage in it? I don't even know if I have one. Hold on. Oh my goodness. I'm cool. We're good. This is a Gen 1. It's defective. Gen 1s were thin on this side, and I had a few people pop theirs out. You're not supposed to push on the motors themselves anyway. You're not supposed to push on the cage anyway. You're supposed to push on the back of the motor. But I still consider this a defect. But no, absolutely not. What? Oh my god, my cage fits. Okay, apparently my cage fits. I was like, oh, there's no way. That, like, barely fits. Like, there's some friction on there, man. It's not pushing on anything, but, like, that's, like, if I had made that a 0.5 millimeter in one direction more, that would not fit. It's not bending the shell. It's not warping the shell at all. But that is a very tight fit. Wow. It fits. It fits though. That's shocking. I'm actually remarkably shocked. I'm assuming it closes. Let's find out. I'm gonna eat my words here in a second when it doesn't fit. Am I having trouble or am I just stupid? I might be having trouble. Oh, no, yep. You need to, this little protruding thing right here. If you cut down right here, I bet that would fit. I'm not quite sure why that's there, to be perfectly honest. Probably just pop it off. Hold on. Not sure if I have my snips up here. I think my snips might actually be downstairs. Is there anything I can use to cut this off real quick without killing myself? God, I wish I had my snips. Hold on. Oh, they're right here. I'm an idiot. Yeah, definitely softer plastic. So I snipped that off right there. And it fits. That's one nice thing about the clear, is that you can see what's fitting and what's not, and you can just, oh, need to cut that off real quick. So, BSP cage fits. Barely, but it does fit. And then the DRS cage fits. I think the main issue here is that everybody is trying to make their tolerances so flipping tight that it like hugs the screw posts. That it hugs the screw posts. I didn't try to do that with mine. I was just like, throw on some clearance in there. Because I figured, you know, you'd want a little bit of wiggle room. But I guess most people, you know, think that they want a nice tight fit. Because the OFP ones, if you look at how much tighter the diameter is there, I'm not even sure if you can see the black. But the big diameter on the screw ports here are a little bit bigger on mine. Like, even if they just wanted to do this side to like save plastic or whatever, just a 45-degree right here, so it's not an absolute 90-degree angle right here, it looks like garbage. And that actually would have saved them money. Just put a 45 right here, for God's sake. There's no reason not to. I guess they wanted this to be one line here, and they didn't want to do 45, 45, cut back up here for the motor, and then follow in, but it would have looked so much better. I don't know. I'm not disappointed because I kind of saw this coming. The moment they didn't show the other side, I had a feeling, so I'm not 100% disappointed. Kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, it is what it is. Look how much room you have up here for electronics, though. And if you cut this bar out, because there's virtually no reason to have it, you can fit, you know, a huge Arduino in there or something, a lot of electronics. So I guess it's nice that they isolate this, because, you know, you can stuff your wires in there or whatever, but I think that's more for the auto kit. That's another thing, like the select switch is right here. It's like, that's cool that they have that there. A lot of people are gonna like that, but the fact that you included this shows you just how much they're expecting you to buy all of their other stuff with this. The fact that they have a little switch right here. Again, glad they have the switch there, but it's going to be useless to a lot of people like me who don't like the select fire stuff because they end up breaking all the time. and stripping gears and general, crap. That's not good. There's some stress marks right there. I doubt you'll be able to see that. But there are a few stress marks around the screw port right there. I'm not sure why. It's disconcerting because I haven't done anything with it yet. Interesting. I also think they could have included screws that didn't have quite such a fine tooth on there, because with how soft this plastic is, I think it could have used a little bit more bite. You're probably going to be easier to strip these screws, so just be careful. Or strip the plastic, not the screw itself. Excuse me. The flat top is pretty nice. Personally, I don't use jam doors, so I don't see a need for jam doors personally. But because if it's something you can get your finger up here, but I've never had a jam. If you get to a serious jam in a flywheel blaster, you're probably screwed anyway. Like that's something that you can't just fit your finger in here. Like you have to go from the front. You have to come up and back here because you have a dart guide on your cage anyway. So I don't really see a need for a jam door. So I really don't care that they didn't include that, but I didn't expect mine to get here so quickly because I accidentally did the 20-day shipping or whatever. Whenever I ordered it. And I was like, oh crap, I meant to do the faster shipping. I contacted Lighttake and I was like, hey, can I have pay for the faster shipping? Or like, if that's too much of a hassle, can I ask for a refund and then buy it again with the faster shipping? Never got back to me. Didn't even try. Checked my spam folder and everything. Didn't even attempt to get back at me. So it's like, alright, whatever. But, order from China is what it is. I wish they would have made this a little bit thicker in this dimension, just because it looks like a little plate, but that's alright. Not a big deal. Still looks good with it. This is for the Chris Vector kit, obviously. Do you think DRS would work with paradigm shift ESC setup? Their dart guide? What? Do you think a DRS would work with a paradigm shift? No, you'd probably have to saw off the dart guide, I would imagine. Now people are pissing me off. Why? So what I might do with this one is just keep this stock with it. Maybe throw in a DRS cage because it fits. I want to put a vector kit on here just because it looks good with it, but I'm not quite sure if I can afford that, honestly. So I might just have to keep it like this. One interesting thing about this, though, didn't think about this until just now, is you can probably put a voltmeter somewhere on here if you put it up right up against the plastic. You don't need to cut a window for it, so that's kind of cool. Even with the frosted plastic, since it's right up against there, you shouldn't have a problem seeing it when it's glowing. Not quite sure why there's a hole right here, but if it has enough clearance, no, it's right on the edge. It'd be a weird button if you were able to fit a button on there. But, I mean, that's obviously they're trying to put a voltmeter button right there, I think. That seems what like that should be. But you probably have to find a square button. It seems more like the stock Nerf one. The stock Nerf one might be a little too thick. Wait a second. I might have just figured it out. And the hole is too small. It fits the stock Nerf switch, which is interesting, but the hole is too small. So I'm assuming they have some sort of switch that comes with their whole setup or whatever that fits. But you could very easily widen that hole with a needle file and then stick that in there. It's not a very elegant solution. Just because I think that button kind of feels crummy. But, I mean, it's a solution. With the angles there, I'm not sure if I could fit the type of switch I wanted. I don't think I can fit the round one that I want. Oh, I have a DC2 here. So this is a genuine cherry switch. And that fits on there just like that. That goes there. This goes in here. That goes on there. So I'll probably use this cherry switch just because I don't feel like casting some clear crap for this. Are you flipping kidding me? That's a joke. Is that a sick joke or do I have that on backwards? Please tell me. Okay, I have it in backwards. Okay, I had it upright like this and there was a post in the way of that closing the switch. You have to put it this way. Angle like that. Okay. I was just being an idiot. Wow, that feels like garbage. I'm a little picky. That's a me thing. I'm sure it feels fine. Don't take any of this personally, because I'm kind of a snob when it comes to my switches. I'm not sure if this is the correct. They all appear to be the same size, so I think. Okay, that's not long enough. I think I also cut into my switch a little bit. I'm assuming that's what these long ones are for. Whoopsie. Let's try to get this going here. Now I'm a little curious. I got curious. It's dangerous. There we go. Okay, so the two long ones are for the switch. It feels like garbage. I don't like many things about this, but I'm sure it's fine for most people. Whatever. It is clicky, but it's more of an audible click. There's a little rubber dome on there. It's still mechanical, but there's a little rubber dome on it, so it kind of softens the blow a little bit, and I don't like that. But there's some travel here. Travel distance before it hits the switch. Not touching the switch, not touching the switch. Right there is where I'm touching the switch, and then finish the rest of the way. So you don't get any physical contact or sensation besides the spring up until right there. Don't know if you can hear that. But it's definitely not as good as an Omron. This is one of the reasons why I don't use the cherry switch. But it looks nice and clean. So at least it's you know, there are mounting points on there for something. It's lining up okay. I'm not getting any misalignments or anything. So you should have a nice reliable switch. And I don't know if people normally have trouble with switch reliability or not, but won't have to worry with this. Ethereal Fortress, not Ethereal Fortress. But yes, I will. I always run Ethereal Fortress. It's true. Would you be able to sand and butt the stupid swordfish off the side? Anything's possible, but it's a bitch because, pardon, but it's indented, and that's the worst kind. Outdented, that wouldn't be a problem. I mean, it would still be an issue. Don't get me wrong. But if it was outdented, it'd be a little bit... I'm not using the right word for that, but I'm going to keep using it because I can't think of the other word. That would not be as much of an issue. You can sand it down. But this is indented, which means you don't have to get the swordfish down. You have to get the rest of the blaster around the swordfish down. And that's going to be the part that sucks. If this wasn't clear, you could fill it. So if you're not planning on having any of this clear, then you could probably fill it. If I was going to modify this with a paint job, what I'd probably do is fill all of this with something, sand it back down, make everything smooth, and then put stripes or something on here that avoid the fish, so that I'd kind of be cheating a little bit. What I might do is just sand down the fin right here. There's a little bit of the fin right here, and then just make this entire, you see the bevel right here? Just make this entire stripe, and then the curve, there's like a bit of a swoop right here. Make that curve all clear, and then make the entire bottom right here clear, or something to that effect. But yeah, it's possible, but it's going to take a lot of elbow grease. Proud, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. I'm sure no one else has an issue with the extended mag release, and I'm sure actually people like the mag release more. I hate it. I can't stand extended mag releases. That is definitely a me thing, though. That has nothing to do with anyone else. I'm sure people love it. I hate it. It feels mushy. It feels... There's a huge travel distance there. I barely have to tap Ethereal Fortress. It's just like, oh, it's done. Oh, but there's like travel here. Nice thing about the Hyperfire design though, is it guides your finger. You don't even have to freaking aim. You just go forward and it closes the distance there. What I was hoping is that because it's embedded, might shave the fish out of the mold later. Use the mag release out of dart cells. Sooner make one myself. But I don't think that this is worth that much energy, to be perfectly honest. That's a phone call. Hold on one sec, guys. sister. She had questions about PayPal. I was using the Kotet mag release, but since I can get the Foam Blast one because I casted, among other reasons, I'll be switching. So I'm also probably going to use Bobo Rev Switch. Mute your thing, we can hear you. Could you actually hear me during that? My mic was muted. Okay, you scared me there, Gavin. Personally, I don't like modifying anything about like the trigger feel or the mag release or the rev trigger. Just a personally thing. This pretty much sums up the review, by the way. So we're just kind of live streaming now. I now have a bad habit of that. Got distracted very easily, but overall, I just dropped a screw. Overall interpretation of this. Hold on, let me find the screw. Got it. Overall thoughts on the Swordfish. It would be an okay blaster. Still wouldn't recommend it, but it is for some people. It would be an okay blaster if I didn't not like the principle behind it. It's very clearly put the Chris Vector kit on me or this looks like garbage. It could not scream that anymore if it tried, in my opinion. Just an opinion. Solely because of that reason, it gets an F for me. But it's kind of ridiculous that they're making something specifically for modders. It doesn't come with internals, so you can't argue that it's not for modders. You have to mod this thing in order to get it functional. So it's targeted towards modders, but it doesn't have the right things for modders. And things that aren't debatable in the slightest, like the battery tray. Like, oh, it's made for IMRs. No one should be using IMRs, no matter what. Unless you're using stock motors, which you can't use because there's no stock motors on this thing. You'd have to pull apart stock Strife in order to get them. You shouldn't be using IMRs. You should be using something that has a higher current draw. And there's no access to that. So, it's just kind of, it's just, if you like the clear, it does have a few things that I like about it. The handle is really comfortable. The parts are decently quality. It's not going to fall apart on you. Definitely higher quality than most of the things out there. It's just kind of floating, by the way. But it doesn't have nearly enough redeeming factors to be okay in my book. It doesn't even come with a damn thumb screw. Could have come with a thumb screw. But anyway, meh. And it says it's for double A's. Double A / LR6, 1.5 volt. But yeah, that's kind of my opinion. Kind of my opinion on this. So yeah, it's. And then this is friggin' square. I guess that's better for lipo. If you wanna fit a lipo in there, knock out all of that. It'll be a little easier to fit in there. But cough cough Ray, yeah. Incomplete product, yeah. What we hoped for, but a failure at the same time, yeah. If you like the clear, if you like the look of it, if you want to get one, I think you should. It's still a very usable blaster, but it's definitely not the best bang for your buck, I don't think. I don't know. It could be better. With how much I know they put into the molds, they could have made this better. Trust me. If I was a top level person at Worker and we produced this, I would not be a happy camper. There's some mold pulling in there because the plastic shrinks if it's in too thick of a section. Right here, up top right here, there's some pulling little indentions. The worker does that all the time with their stocks. They make their stocks way too robust. When will worker come out with a painted blaster? Yeah. It's not the junk you wanted, it's the junk you deserve. Laying around doing nothing. So what I'm probably gonna do with mine is, yeah, just mod it up real quick. Nothing too fancy. I heard Hellcats on 2S are actually pretty decent depending on your setup, so I might try that because it's going to be less likely to burn them up because their draw is way too much. Completely unnecessary. Maybe I'll get some Fang. Actually, now that I think about it, I can't fit 180s in here, so maybe I'll get some Fang revamps or something and see if those fit. That should be plenty for what I'm trying to do here. But yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot I can do with it. I kind of want a vector kit, but like I said before, I'm not sure I can afford that. To be perfectly honest. So yeah, that's kind of my review. If you guys have any questions, if you want me to take any measurements or something, if you guys want me to see if something fits, granted, if I have it, ask me now, or forever hold your peace. Thank you for the stock, not a problem. Thank you for the payment. Appreciate it. Hey Ben, will you be painting a Firefox system or not? Printing a Firefox system or not? Nope. I don't really like the system. Nothing against Guy. I've met him in real life. Nice guy. I just personally don't like the system. I don't really like how boxy it is. And I don't like 3D printed blasters. I don't like 3D printing parts in general, let alone a whole blaster, so... For God's sake, I'm machining Caliburn because I hate 3D printed parts, so... unfortunately not, and I definitely don't need another Strife reskin. Should have made it fit 180s too. But yeah, if they made this fit 180s, they would have projected the whole side out, and then that would have been terrible. Actually looks decent with the stock. Yeah, it looks pretty decent. It so clearly wants a vector kit, though. It so much wants a vector kit. Ridiculous amount of vector kit wantage. Whoops. Don't know what that was. Maybe I can put clear orange parts in here so the pusher doesn't look completely out of place. Maybe put clear, neon clear orange parts in here. Be interesting. If I worked at Worker, I'd be fired. My opinions are too strong. Yeah, the block 90%, 75% of the blockiness goes away when you add the Chris Vector kit. Like this entire front, look at that. Look at that garbage. What is that? Are you freaking kidding me? 75% of the blockiness I can almost guarantee is going to go away as soon as you put the Vector kit on. They're so expensive. Clearly, haha. Ay. Will 2K clear coat adhere to plastic? It might. I wouldn't bet on it. Vector kits. Yeah, I know. They're stupid popular, and that lessens how much I would possibly like them. But I genuinely don't appreciate the look. I don't not like them, but I don't appreciate the look of them on a Strife. If I'm getting rid of the stigma because they are way too popular, and I can't stand, oh, slap on the kit, look, it's a mod. But if you're taking away from that stigma, like, I just kind of don't really like it on the Strife, in my personal opinion. It actually looks pretty decent on this, if I'm being for real. But Oh, yeah, Ryan, I don't know if you were here before, but the DRS cage and the BSP cage are like the only ones that fit. The BSP cage fits. It's like so barely. I had to nip off on the other side of the shell, this side of the shell. I had to nip off. There's like a, you see this rib right here? There's like a needless thing poking out. It's just like a little triangle piece I snipped off. Just a corner. That was like right up against the screw port, but actually fits. Panhandle. So I went to the Panhandle volunteer work. Normal Texas day. Yeah. My 3 biggest complaints are doesn't fit all motors, how the front looks, and the fit angle from the side. Yeah, I think those are some of my biggest complaints. Probably not the biggest, but yeah, those are definitely in the top 5. Plastic of the Swordfish, specifically. Okay. But the vector kit, even more stuff. So stripe doesn't work on this. Austin should have told me that'd be there. Austin. I don't quite understand why you dislike 3D printed parts minus internals. A little bit of sanding the paint. It's not meant to be a finished product, and it's fine that like people are okay with it. If you're okay with it, it's fine. I'm not going to judge you. They're meant for prototyping, and some people were saying, like that's a old school opinion, and like 3D printing is getting better, and blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And I'm talking about 3D filament 3D printing alone. I've actually gotten some stuff printed off of Shapeways that this is printed off of Shapeways, and I have no problem using this. This is nylon. But filament 3D printing has inherent structural flaws. It's not meant to be a finished product, and if you, in my opinion, it's kind of a cheap way of doing things from every angle that you could possibly conceive. Oh, I'm gonna design something real quick on the computer and slap it up and throw it in there and call it a mod. I realize that's kind of an old school way of thinking, where it's like you need to file it by hand, and it's like I'm not necessarily saying that. Work smarter, not harder, right? But I don't know. I don't like the idea behind filament 3D printing. I don't like the structural weaknesses. I don't like the fact that it's meant to be a prototype and everybody's okay with it because it's good enough. I don't like good enough. I like good. I like stretching my abilities, and I like stretching my ability. I think that might be a big part of it. I like stretching my abilities, and I know I'm better than just slapping 3D printed parts on something. If I'm not pushing myself past that, then I feel like I'm not doing myself a justice. Yeah, my tolerances are on the larger side, which I think is why it fits in the first place. Like physically larger. Like the screw port holes here are like actually physically larger than OFP. Thoughts on Ceta? Should have used better plastic. Should have used a better company to make the molds. Interesting shell design. At least they have their looks on point. It looks freaking beautiful in my opinion. I really don't like the texture. I don't like the gloss all over. I think it would have been better as a matte finish like this, but that's just me. If anything, it'll be a little bit easier to sand and paint. So there's that. But it's like I don't even consider these to be like full mods or anything. Like I've done a few of them. Like some people would consider Alpha Snooper to be a finished mod. I haven't put my sticker on that because it's not a finished mod yet. Who knows when I'm gonna get around to actually painting it? But I don't consider that a finished mod. I made a Retalicon that I just like chopped up real quick in the back and put a Retaliator plunger in there, the non-reverse one, and then put the pump grip on there. And people consider that a mod all the time, and I'm not saying that like other people's mods aren't good enough. That's not what I'm saying, but for me personally and what I do, I don't consider that a mod in the slightest. I didn't put my sticker on that because I don't consider that to be a full-fledged mod. I'm very picky about that little silver sticker, and I'm very particular about what blasters I put that on. And this, if I finish this would definitely not be one of them, unless I could get rid of all of that and get it to a place where I'm okay with it. Which I'm just not willing to put in that amount of time, to be perfectly honest. That's a lot of sanding, man. That's just not worth my time. I'd sooner slap some stuff in here, get it looking nice, and then just sell it off for something cheap. Wonder if this would be good for any integrations. You know what would look good on this? I bet a Centurion would look great on this. I bet that'd be easy to do. Kind of generic. I think especially with Mr. Nathan doing his for the past like year and a half, I think that Centurion's a little bit overdone right now, but where do you get your stickers made? I get all of my stickers and stuff like that made on Etsy. Pretty much anyone on there is going to be literally 300 times more helpful than anyone else that you could get them done from, because they're actual people, an individual person that requires you to talk to them. And that's kind of what you want when you're customizing stuff. When I'm customizing anything, I immediately go to Etsy and see if I can get it there first. Like all my vinyl stencils, all my stickers, I try to go to Etsy first. Why did they make the Swordfish after they never released the Spider-Fish? I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming this is already in production. I don't know. The Ice Blue Centurion. That'd be interesting. I'm not sure how clean you could get that integrated. I don't think I could get that integrated clean enough, but it'd be interesting if someone could. I have one. I'm surprised they didn't come out with more colors for this, because it really doesn't cost too much to get them in different colors once you have the mold. It's probably a stunt to get more money, get more people buying it. We released the clear. Now we're releasing these colors after everyone's already bought one. Don't you want one? Many people on Etsy are the kinds of people. I hate that you can hold that. I'm not sure why I do that, but it's like an instinct to hold that right there. So what do you guys think of this? I'm not trying to deter anyone from buying this. If you had your eye on this, don't listen to my opinions. Just try to pull out the facts on certain things. Anything is possible. So if you really wanted this and I said something that crushes you, just know that any mod is always possible. I'm a firm believer in, anything's possible as long as, you're willing to put in enough work or whatever. Take enough time to step back and give it enough vision. With enough time and enough ingenuity, you can pretty much do anything. But it's just a matter of how much do you like this, and does that correlate to how much work you're willing to put into it. And personally, I don't like the idea of a clear shell to begin with. Like the whole lighting aspect is going to be an absolute nightmare if you try to light this up, illuminate it all the way. Much rather have a prophecy. feel like Blue Prophecy is 90% of those sales. I think it's a disappointment. It's a little disappointing. It's not a complete wash, but it's a little disappointing. It's not an immediate pickup for me, kind of like the Exus, yeah. I would buy one in black. Of course you would. I like the idea of blasters made for us. I do too. It doesn't feel like it was, though. It's confusing because there's conflicts there. It's like, it's meant for us because there's no internals, but is it meant for us because those internals that it does have aren't for modding? Like, I have to cut into the battery tray. Why? Why should I need to do that? It doesn't hold the right motors. Why? Why do I need to do that? The right motors, you know what I mean? It does seem like it's the stock thickness. Despite how thick it looks, I'm pretty sure that's the stock thickness. It just looks thicker because of the angles on it and because there's no indentation right here where the magazine is. I could be wrong. I'd get one if a certain I could do clear, clean clear integration. What would you integrate with it? I like that this exists, but not good. I like that it's an option. I like that it's an I like that this is an option. Good lord. And oh my god, it's 5 o'clock. I have to be somewhere in like 10 minutes. And I still need a shower. I am going to need to wrap this up like 30 minutes ago. So, yeah, let's start wrapping this up. See you, Nano. Sorry to kind of cut this off like super abrupt. I was supposed to be somewhere. There were Sonic Fire stuff. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Really kind of worker. Alright. Bye, Hawkeye. Thank you so much for awesome stream. Your thoughts. Lights gets better. So thank you, Trico. You too. Alright. Bye, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you hearing my thoughts on this. Didn't mean to discourage anyone. All of this is just my opinion. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. And end stream.